You wouldn't want to try this with your regular 308 Winchester. No recoil. Using Trail Boss, I found that the lower pressure charges were fairly accurate, and you're going to have a cooler barrel, less recoil. You know, if you're trying to teach a new shooter how to shoot, they won't become detoured because of the excessive recoil. And you can, you know, use 308, 708, 3006 and load them down to a recoil similar to like a 22 Hornet or a 223. And you'll find that the harmonics in the barrel are going to be a little bit less whip. And on these sporter rifles that do have a 2-inch area in the front that actually is a pressure point on the barrel, you'll find that you don't get as much resonance off of it to where you can get some pretty decent groups at 100 yards. Also, you don't have to use a muzzle brake. Muzzle brakes are very effective at reducing the recoil, but much at the expense of the shooters on either side of you. We've got this Remington 788 chambered in 308 Winchester. This is a 1972 vintage. And these were a very low price point gun made by Remington, but because the actions are designed where there's a very small cutout, the actions are very strong on these, which leads to quite a bit of accuracy. They do have a 9-lug bolt as well that is engages in the rear on this. And what we're going to be using today is we're going to be using some Trail Boss with 155 grain Sierra tipped Match Kings. And this only works if at 100 yards we get sub MOA groups. So I'm going to be looking for accurate yet low recoiling groups. So stay tuned. We're metering these charges with the Lee Perfect powder measure, which is a fantastic powder measure. And we will trickle charge all of the loads just to make sure this experiment doesn't have any measuring flaws in it. Trail Boss has a very large surface area, and we're going to fire it with large rifle primers, the BR2s. And that surface area is designed for ignition, isn't it? We're seating our bullets, those 155 grain TMKs, to 2.800. And what we're left with is a powder column which goes about to the shoulder of the case once the bullet is seated. And if you look inside there, you can kind of see it. It's right up to the shoulder. So we weighed that contents, and we've come up with a full charge of 14 grains. And Hodgdon gives that as the maximum load for Trail Boss, and then you use their 70% figure for a 9.8 minimum charge. My choices are 10, 11, 12, 12.5, and 12.8. First up, the 10 is 1110 feet per second, 1.75 group. 11 is 1226 feet per second and a 0.85 group. 12 grains of Trail Boss, 1303.93. 12.5, 1343, 1.2, and 12.8 grains was 1394.66. I have to say this powder does make the charges string in weird ways. Plus, shooting off of bipod on the bench, that doesn't help things. But I think that this group will be adequate for the 100-yard shoot on Monday, so we're going to try that. On the left, we have the 10 grain Trail Boss load watch. And on the right, we have the factory Federal 175. See how it just stops. And the reason why this one is wiggling around on the table is because the primer is proud now. Because what happened, because this is a low pressure charge, is the case never expands enough to fill the chamber, so as the primer is struck, the case moves forward and rearward while the primer is being unseated, and it never gets reseated again because this never reaches full pressure to fill the whole chamber. Now I'll show it to you right here. We have the same two cases with the primers removed. So first up is the 10 grains of Trail Boss, and you can see 55 thousandths. And here is the factory Federal fired. And you'll notice 59 thousandths. So the full house load, the factory Federal, the case is actually, the shoulder head space is expanded an additional 4 thousandths. And it's gone further than that because there is a considerable amount of spring back as well. So if you ever see a case with a primer protruding out the back of it, this is something that's common that occurs with lever actions. It's not because of high pressure, it could be because of low pressure. This is the 308 in the Remington 788 using that Trail Boss load, velocity of 1394. This is the 243 load using that Remington 700. And both of them are about 2 inches with the flyers. I did get quite a few, center hits on it, but for a 100-yard varmint remover, I think it would work very well. And then we also took a look at these Hornady light recoil ammunition. This stuff has got a stated velocity of 2,800 feet per second. My chronograph only had about 2,600 feet per second. And that grouped fairly well, but the recoil was twice as stout as our Trail Boss loads. .1972, 788. Topped with a K6 Weaver. Loading the bipod. Heard something metal, but it didn't sound like the gong. Let's try it again. Okay. Now, got a rectangle there. We can hit that. Looks like there's blowing slightly right on that last hit. So all I'm going to do is hold right in the middle of the plate. So you can see that they're still maintaining stability at 300 yards. I'm going to just change the camera. Go up to 400. And 400 has just going to have to do a holdover of about 70 inches from my 300-yard zero, because these things are coming right out of the sky. So 6 feet over the plate at 400. one more time. This is only 6 power, so I can't really see where they're hitting. Neat report. Kind of wish that I had dope for 500 yards, but I'm not even going to try. So now let's see how this scope zeroes back down to 100. Okay, 100 yards. Keep in mind that this is a 308 Winchester, and we're getting effective hits right out to 400 yards with this. These 788s have a gorgeous little 3-round magazine. They load very easy, and I'm still amazed that these sold for under $100. So I appreciate you guys watching this video. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you're a new viewer. And maybe hit the notification bell for future videos. These are 64 grain column bullets by Berger. They're traveling 2,005 feet per second, but they're going to be shedding velocity like crazy. So I'm going to do a 1 through 4. See how close the ballistic data from Hornady is. Five minutes up for 2. Try the little guy. Try the big guy. Okay, coming in a little high. See the bullets are blowing off to the left a little bit. So 12 minutes total for 300. Way off to the right. Put a little more into the left. There. Okay. Let's try 400. 21.8. Right there. I'm going to hold on the left side of the plate at 4.